Okay, so let's dive deep into something we all do, pretty much every day, driving. You sent over this fantastic stack of sources, all focused on the real physics of vehicle safety. And it really changes how you look at things. Our mission today is to get past just, speed limits and speeding tickets. We want to actually understand the faces at play, the ones that turn speed into massive risk. And I think the core idea from all this material is pretty stark. Controlling your velocity is maybe the single most important thing in safe driving. And high speed is it's an exponentially bigger threat than almost anything else.
That's absolutely right. And that's what we're going to break down. We'll start with some really fundamental stuff, like the difference between speed and velocity. It sounds simple, but it's crucial.
Okay.
Then we'll get into the pretty terrifying math behind stopping distance. Yeah. And then the big one, kinetic energy. That's the formula that shows why even a small jump in speed leads to a huge increase in how bad a crash can be.
Okay, so let's unpack that right from the start. In everyday language, we all use speed and velocity like they're the same thing. But the physics here draws a really firm line. And you're saying that line is critical for safety. So what is that distinction?
Well, it all comes down to one being a scalar and one being a vector.
Okay.
Let's start with speed. Speed is purely a scalar quantity. It just tells you how fast you're going. It only has magnitude.
So the number on the speedometer, 60 miles per hour.
Exactly, just the number. Now, velocity. Velocity is a vector. It's the rate at which your position changes. So it has both the magnitude, the speed, and the direction. 60 miles per hour north. That's velocity.
And that direction part.
Yeah.
That's the whole ball game when we're talking about controlling a car, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you're constantly making these tiny adjustments to your direction.
Yeah.
And that's the aha moment. Think about taking a tight curve. You might keep your speed perfectly steady at, say, 40 miles per hour.
Constant speed.
Right. But because your direction is constantly changing as you go around the turn, your velocity is also constantly changing. And that change in velocity is, by definition, acceleration.
Even if you're not touching the gas pedal.
Exactly. And that's what puts all that lateral stress on your tires, on your suspension. Or think about this. Hitting a patch of ice, your car starts to skid sideways. For a moment, your speed might not change much, but your velocity has changed dramatically and dangerously because the direction is suddenly all wrong.
And that's what the car's computers are looking for.
That's exactly what stability control systems do. They are measuring these tiny changes in velocity vectors to see if the car is about to lose control. It's all about managing that direction.
So we're not just managing how fast, we're managing the precision of where we're going. Which I guess brings us right to the most terrifying consequence of high velocity, not being able to stop.
Right.
This is where it gets really practical. I mean, How does velocity translate directly into the distance you need to bring, a 2-ton chunk of metal to a dead stop?
Well, stopping distance is actually made up of two distinct parts, two phases.
Okay.
The first part is reaction distance. This is the amount of ground you cover from the moment your brain sees a hazard to the moment your foot actually hits the brake pedal.
And that reaction time is pretty consistent for most people, right?
For an alert driver, yes. It's usually about 1 to 1.5 seconds. But the faster you're going, the more real estate you chew up during that little window.
I mean, I knew it was important, but I never really thought about the actual feet and inches.
Get this. At 30 miles an hour, you cover about 44 feet in that 1 second.
Wow.
Now, double your speed to 60. You're suddenly covering 88 feet before the brakes even engage.
So you've already doubled the distance and you haven't even started slowing down yet.
Exactly. And then comes the second phase, braking distance. This is the distance you travel after your foot is on the pedal.
And this is where things get explosive. Why does this part grow so much?
It's all about kinetic energy. The physics involved means your brakes have to work against the square of your velocity. So doubling your speed doesn't just double the work for your brakes.
It quadruples it.
It can quadruple the braking distance, yeah. Let's look at the actual numbers from the sources because they're staggering.
Okay.
At a pretty slow 20 miles per hour, your total swapping distance reaction plus braking is about 63 feet.
63 feet. Oh.
Now, let's say you're on a highway doing 60 miles per hour. Your total stopping distance jumps to around 303 feet.
303 feet. That's almost the length of a football field.
It is.
So going from 20 to 60, which is 3 times the speed, gives you almost 5 times the stopping distance.
Yeah.
That math is just wild.
It is. It's that exponential growth that just kills your margin for error. And remember, that 303-foot number, that's in perfect conditions.
Right. Dry road, good tires.
Dry road, good tires, good brakes, you're paying attention. Start adding in factors like a wet road or worn tires or you're a little tired. And those numbers just balloon. You're fighting physics, and physics always wins.
So, okay, we've established the catastrophic math of slowing down.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how the car builds up that speed in the first place. Let's talk about acceleration.
Absolutely. So acceleration in physics is just any change in velocity over time. It can be speeding up, slowing down,
Or changing direction, like you
or
said.
changing direction.
Yeah.
Exactly. And deceleration is just negative acceleration. It's achieved by opposing forces like your brakes or even just air resistance and tire friction.
And while your engine power and, I guess, aerodynamics affect how fast you can get going,
Right.
it's the kinetic energy you've built up that really defines the physics of a crash.
That's the heart of it. And it brings us to the most important formula in this whole deep dive.
The kinetic energy formula.
Kinetic energy, or KE, equals 1/2 mv squared, 1/2 mass times velocity squared.
And the critical part there is the v squared, the velocity squared.
That's everything. It means the energy isn't linear. It grows exponentially with your speed. Let me try to make this really tangible for you. Imagine you're driving at 30 miles per hour.
Okay.
If you double your speed to 60, you haven't just doubled the energy you need to get rid of in a crash. You have quadrupled it.
Quadrupled.
It's like having to stop 4 of you, all in identical cars, all traveling at that original 30 miles per hour, all at the same instant. That's the force we're asking the car's frame, the seatbelts, the airbags to absorb in a split second.
That is just, it's an immense amount of energy. The consequences of that have to be devastating.
They are. The impact force is so much greater, which is why the risk of serious injury or fatality just skyrockets above 40 or 50 miles an hour. The human body, and frankly, the car's structure, it just can't handle the forces from that massive squared energy.
I imagine it makes the crash itself more chaotic.
Far more. With that much energy, vehicles are more likely to, just disintegrate or to roll over or even ricochet off into other cars.
Turning one mistake into a huge pileup.
A multi-vehicle catastrophe, exactly. So it's a cascading failure. You have less time to react, and you exponentially increase the violence of the outcome if you can't.
Okay, let's bring this down from catastrophic physics to some more common road hazards where velocity is kind of a silent enemy. Let's talk about hydroplaning, that terrifying feeling when you just lose contact with the road.
Velocity is the main ingredient for hydroplaning. It's what happens when your tires literally lift off the pavement and start riding on a thin layer of water.
Turning your car into a sled, basically.
An uncontrolled sled, yes. And the mechanics are fascinating. Your tire treads are designed to channel water out from under the tire. At low speeds, say under 30, the tire has enough time to push that water away and stay in contact with the road.
But the faster you go,
The less time it has. When you hit a certain speed, and it varies, but it generally starts around 35 miles an hour, the water pressure builds up faster than the treads can clear it.
and it just lifts the tire?
It acts like a wedge, lifting the tire clean off the asphalt. And once you lose that contact, you have zero friction, no steering, no braking. You're completely at the mercy of your own momentum.
So velocity literally robs the tire of the time it needs to do its job. Okay, another practical thing. What about the long-term cost? How does driving fast affect the car itself, the wear and tear?
This is where the cost of driving fast really adds up. Even if you don't get a ticket, it hits your fuel economy, your tires, your whole vehicle.
Let's start with fuel.
Okay, so the faster you go, the harder your engine has to work to fight aerodynamic drag. And drag increases exponentially with speed.
There's that word again. Exponentially.
It's everywhere in physics. So the extra fuel you burn to go from, say, 70 to 80 is way more than the fuel it took to go from 50 to 60. It's just inefficient.
And what are the actual parts? The tires, the suspension?
Velocity just accelerates wear. For tires, it's 2 things: friction and heat. Higher speed means more friction, which means more heat. That heat literally softens the rubber, causing it to break down faster. You're basically melting your tires away, just a tiny bit faster.
Wow.
And that speed also increases centrifugal force, which can cause the tire to expand slightly and wear unevenly. On top of that, every bump you hit at high speed sends a much bigger shock through your whole suspension system. It just abuses the whole car.
So what does this all mean then? We've seen that high speed isn't just about breaking a rule, it's about breaking the rules of physics, really.
Yeah.
It shrinks your margin for error and multiplies the forces in a crash. How does the tech that's supposed to save us, airbags, seat belts, how does that fit into the velocity equation?
Well, safety tech is designed to fight physics, but physics always has the final say. Airbags are amazing, but they're designed for a specific range of collisions.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they typically deploy in moderate to high-speed impacts, say above 10 or 15 miles an hour. But their effectiveness starts to diminish at really extreme speeds because the kinetic energy might just overwhelm what the system can absorb.
So there's a point where there's just too much energy for the airbag to handle.
Exactly. And seatbelts. They're your primary defense at every speed. They're designed to spread those incredible forces across the strongest parts of your body. But even they have a physical limit. At extreme velocities, the g-forces can just be too much for the human body to withstand, which again is why controlling your velocity in the first place is always the better strategy.
So if we tie all these threads together, the difference between speed and velocity, the braking distances, the kinetic energy, what's the real principle behind safe and prudent driving?
I think safe and prudent driving is the active, constant process of managing your velocity to match the conditions right in front of you.
Not just the speed limit sign.
Not at all. It means slowing down before you hit the fog bank. It means respecting that a wet road has less friction. It's about making sure the energy your car is carrying is always controllable within the space you have available to you.
So velocity isn't just a number, it's the mathematical multiplier of danger. It defines your stopping distance, your risk, and the violence of a potential crash.
It's everything. And here's a final thought for you to take with you the next time you're out on the road. Given that doubling your speed quadruples that kinetic energy, think about the gap you leave to the car in front of you. Don't just think of it in terms of your reaction time. Think of it as the physical space. The empty runway your car needs to dissipate that immense squared energy, you have to give yourself that space to manage the physics. Stay safe out there.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.